Two, check, 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 check. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, test.
You can just leave it on one of those chairs.
Turn the on switch, on and off switch, turn it on. Hold up your mouth.
All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is David Gladys. I serve on the Shoreview Environmental Quality Committee, or EQC. This is the first installment of our 2020 Shoreview Environmental Speaker Series. This series is presented by the Shoreview EQC. The EQC is a City Council-appointed advisory committee. We promote and advise on issues that affect the environment in and around our city. If you're interested in sitting in on an EQC meeting, we meet the fourth Monday of every month at 6:30 here in the council chambers. Everyone's welcome, and usually the conversation is fairly casual, but usually very informative. So some quick housekeeping notes. Tonight's presentation will be broadcast on Channel 16 and broadcast later online via the city's website and YouTube page. So we'll have time for questions at the end, and we just ask you to wait for the microphone to get passed around so everyone can hear the discussion. Before we get into tonight's speaker, I wanted to promote our March event. On March 18th, Melissa King from the Board of Water and Soil Resources will be giving a presentation titled Lawns to Legumes, Be the Change. And for those who can't see my notes, B is spelled with 2 E's. So it should be a fairly informative discussion on how we can have a positive impact on pollinators. So without further ado, tonight's talk is titled Benefits of Energy Efficiency in Your Home. And our speaker is Stacy Boots Camp. She is an assistant outreach manager from the Center for Energy and Environment, or CEE. She has been with CEE since 2009. Before managing outreach for the residential energy programs, she worked in the field as an energy counselor for the Community Energy Services and Home Energy Squad programs. Stacy has over a dozen years of community and environmental organizing experience. She has a BA in English and Environmental Studies from UW-La Crosse, a residential energy auditing certificate from Dunwoody Institute, and a permaculture design certification. So please join me in welcoming Stacy.
Thanks for coming out tonight, everyone. I've been excited about talking to folks in Shorewood for a while. I know some of the people on the committee, and so I'm happy to be here. So, I'm just gonna fix that quick. Okay. So tonight we're gonna be talking about the benefits of having an energy efficiency home. But first I'll talk a little bit about the organization I work for. We're a nonprofit organization. We've been around for 40 years working on energy efficiency in Minnesota. We do a lot of research that informs programs that we design and deliver. We do some consulting, policy work, and we also have a lending center to help people, businesses, public buildings, just to help people take those next steps to make their buildings more efficient. I'm just going to talk first a little bit about a business program that's available because the entire rest of the presentation is more focused on residential. But most of the programs I'm going to talk about are either very inexpensive or free. So if you do happen to be a small business owner, Xcel Energy has some great programs that are free to help people save, both with lighting consulting, also some refrigeration consulting, and some HVAC consulting is a new component. So these things are just kind of rolling out, and I wanted to let people know about that in case they happen to own a business. So what are some of the benefits of energy efficiency? I've been presenting on this for over 7 years probably, and never once has it been anything besides saving money. So that's usually what comes to people's minds. So by making your building or your home more efficient, it should also reduce your energy bills. Another great benefit is that by making a home more efficient, it's also going to increase the comfort. And then finally, when we do make these energy efficiency upgrades to our homes, we can feel good that we're reducing our impact on the environment, cutting down on carbon waste, cutting down on a lot of waste that comes from heating and cooling our homes. So why does this matter to people, to everyone? Because in Minnesota, we spend almost $2,000 a year on keeping our homes comfortable with natural gas use, electric use. And so by bringing our home to a basic level of efficiency, we can maybe capture some of those savings and use those to do more fun things like go on vacation or buy something nice for your family. So another benefit that wasn't listed on there, increasing comfort, but also durability. So by making your home more efficient, whether that is, air sealing and insulation, or just caulking around the windows, you're going to be improving also the durability of the home, which gives people peace of mind that they're not going to have to worry about their roof leaking from ice dams, or just pure comfort, not as drafty, feeling so cold in the house in the winter. So now we are seeing people build houses really durable and tight. Some of the homes that are being built are even net zero energy homes. And so these homes are meant to be very structurally sound, durable, comfortable, and have really no energy use. But they're, it's net zero. And so they're producing as much energy as they're consuming. So this is kind of like at the forefront. This would be more than the basic level of efficiency, but something to strive for. And if people are building new homes in your community, it's just good policy to look at too. So energy efficiency is a great resource because the cleanest energy of all is not using any energy. So by cutting down on what we're using, then that energy doesn't have to be produced. So less power plants need to be built, less infrastructure to support the power plants. So really conserving energy is the greatest conservation effort you can do. And why should we use less? So we can all stay healthy for a clean, green, healthy, functioning planet, and to help our families and residents in our communities stay healthy and safe too. So like I said, we've been around for 40 years, the organization I work for. And we like to think that we're here as a resource for people no matter which step of the ladder they're on here. Some people might just be looking at the bottom step, getting in the good habit of turning off lights when they leave rooms. Some people may be looking at doing a high efficiency furnace. And other people might be ready to add solar to their house. So there's quite a span on the level of home energy efficiency. And I have tonight some suggestions and tips I'll share with you for each step along the way. And hopefully we'll try to have a little fun too. So in our 40 years of working on energy efficiency in Minnesota, we've come up with kind of a recipe for an energy smart home. And that involves people having good habits, like I mentioned, turning lights off when we leave the room, turning down the thermostat when we leave the house, using good products. So making sure that the Energy Star label is on products, so we know that we will be getting something that is lasting, that we're not going to have to go replace in a couple months and drive to the store again to buy the replacement for what we just purchased. And then also making smart energy investments in your home. So when considering what kind of projects to do in the house, you really want to look at the whole picture, because every house functions like a system. And even though a house may be the same as another one down the block, the number of people who live in the house is different, how they use their house is different. So really taking a look at the whole scene and seeing how people live in their homes before taking those next steps to see what is the top priority in that particular house. So here I have broken down 4 sectors of energy use in the home. About 15% of what we spend on our utility bills goes to water heating. Another 15% towards appliance use. Another 15% towards lighting and electronics. And now, of course, the biggest is to keep our homes comfortable with heating and air conditioning year round. My furnace has been working real hard these past couple days. But we're going to start from the bottom, work our way up. So the water heater, usually in the basement, bottom of the house. So both for safety and efficiency, what we recommend with these tank-style water heaters is to have the temperature set at 120 degrees or below. So where the triangle is on the dial, that marks 120 degrees, so that's plenty warm. And just the next notch up, the A mark, that would signify 130 degrees. And so that's using more energy than you need to. And there's also a safety concern there. With water running at 130 degrees, it only takes 30 seconds for someone to get burned. Whereas at 120 degrees, it would take 5 minutes. So this is especially important if people have little children in the house. My kids like to turn on the water and keep it running. They've learned not to just turn on the hot water, but we do have ours set pretty low. So it's just good to check that for safety and efficiency. Another thing you can do in terms of water heating is wrapping the tank water heater with a water heater blanket. So that just provides another layer of insulation so that that tank isn't having to use more gas or electricity to keep it at that constant temperature. Another thing you can do with water heating in terms of these tank-style water heaters is flushing it out. So just 1 to 2 times a year, flushing that sediment out of the bottom of the tank. Just clearing that out through the side. It looks like kind of a garden hose tap. That clears that sediment out, so it's going to prevent premature rusting. And then that heating element doesn't have to heat through all of that sediment to warm up the water. So this is kind of just a good preventative maintenance thing. Also, in terms of water heating, using high-efficiency water fixtures. Anyone already have some of these in their house? Great. So they save roughly about 1 gallon of water per minute, both the shower heads and the faucet aerators. And so not only do they save on the amount of water that you're using, but also the water heating in terms of, hot water for the showers. And I think, right now water isn't very expensive relatively, but probably in the future it will be. So it's great to just have these things in mind that you can use for saving in a couple different areas of spending. All right, up to the next level here, appliances. So how many people are already washing their clothes in cold water? Good habits, all right. So by washing your clothes in cold water, you're saving because when you do heat the water, up to 90% of the energy you're paying for is being used to heat the water rather than doing the washing machine function. So by washing your clothes in cold water, you can save on the water heating costs. Also helps the colors last longer, so then you're not having to buy as many clothes. And since we're talking about doing the laundry, these the flexible ducts, in some cities actually don't meet the code. That's not very many cities, but these are, while they're easy to use, they're not very efficient. What's actually recommended with dryer venting is to use the rigid ductwork. It gives the dryer a better airflow, so it's using less gas or electricity to dry those clothes. It's also much safer because these flexible ones that are on the left-hand side here can end up looking like that. They're really hard to clean out, and they can become a fire hazard. So using the rigid ductwork with all of those ripples in it is a safer and more efficient way to go. And then also just checking where the dryer terminates outside of the house. Mine looks just like this one on the left. And I actually found some twigs in there. A bird was trying to build a nest in that nice warm area. So I just check periodically, a couple times a year, make sure that that's not happening because we don't want that. And then refrigerators. So with our appliance that's always running, we want to make sure that that's an efficient model. Like I said, in our 40 years working on efficiency, we've come up with a few slogans. Another one happens to be, if your appliance is old enough to vote, it's probably time to switch it out. This one's been voting since the 70s, clearly. So although this refrigerator is much more dull looking, it does probably save over $100, if not $150 or so of energy per year. This model right here, as you can see, uses about $40 a year. This former model probably uses $150 to $200 of electricity per year, and therefore, making us waste more money on electric rather than capturing that by using a more efficient model. So just looking at the energy guide when purchasing appliances, and then also checking to see, like I said, about the Energy Star label. One other thing I should mention here, if with XL Energy, they do have a program where they will recycle your refrigerator. So from March through October, that program runs, and they will come and pick up your old inefficient refrigerator or freezer, which is the best part because you don't have to haul it then. And then they will give you a rebate. So instead of putting this one in the basement for beverages or out in the garage, you can call Excel. They'll come and pick up the old one and give you a rebate. And then we have made it up to the third level, lighting and electronics, another 15% of our energy use. So probably most of us, a lot of people have started using LEDs. I still have some of the fluorescent light bulbs in my house, but these are really great. The LEDs, the light emitting diodes, are very efficient. They use 85 to 90% less electricity than incandescent bulbs. Some of them can even last as long as 25 years. And they're really great for just not having to think about taking all those trips to the store to replace them. When you are thinking about buying new light bulbs, there's kind of a label that almost looks like a nutrition label on the side of the light bulbs now, because people were having a hard time getting the light quality that they wanted. So looking to see what the lumens are, the light output. The most standard 60-watt incandescent light bulb had a light output of around 800 to 900 lumens, so that's what you want to look for if you're looking for a standard bulb. Also on the color temperature scale, the 60-watt incandescent light bulb was right around 3,000 on this Kelvin temperature scale, and so that's another thing to look at, just because you don't want to maybe have too bright of a daylight if that's going to be in a living room or something. So just taking a look at that before you make your purchase. And then another way people can save with electronics is just by putting their entertainment centers on a power management system. So kind of another low, no cost thing. So I guess if you wanted to get really ambitious, you could just unplug everything from the wall. But that's not always easy to get behind your entertainment center. We want to make saving energy easy for people so that they continue to do it. So I have seen people place things on two separate power strips, one that can remain constantly on, and then another that they can have the good habit of shutting off when they leave the room. So things like your TV and your video game systems, DVD player, those can be turned off without creating too much of a hassle for you. Like with your DVR, you might not want to turn that off if you have a show you're trying to plan for. But there are quite a few components that you can capture the savings on. I actually have one on my entertainment center, like the one on the left here. And so this one, they're about $10, I think. You plug, for instance, the TV into the blue one, and then you can put all of the components in the green section that can be shut off. So that when you shut off your TV, it shuts off all of those. And then, like your cable router and your modem, plug those into the red ones, and those can remain constantly on. So these smart strips are a really easy way to just set something up and then feel good that you're saving every single day by just making it easy for yourself to cut down on your phantom load. All right, we're at the top of the house now. So programmable thermostats. I actually have one just like this. How many people already have a programmable thermostat that they've got programmed? Great. So these are excellent because you can just set them and forget them. I like to remind people to check the batteries, though, once a year, when you check the smoke alarms, maybe. The smart thermostats are kind of new. It looks like a lot of people have programmable thermostats. Anyone have a smart thermostat already? All right. So these, they're experimenting with different programs all across the country on how to get people to save more electricity. These smart thermostats are really good for managing when there's a lot of demand on the grid, in the middle of the summer when everyone wants to run their air conditioner at 4 p.m. So this gives the utilities a way of managing that load, maybe just by turning it up a couple degrees in the summer, and then getting people to, maybe they're not even home, maybe they won't notice. But that allows for there not to be quite as much demand on the grid, and then hopefully the utilities won't have to build more power plants and more lines. This is kind of a no wires way of managing the demand on the grid. So it's kind of a new technology out there that we're just learning about, but a lot of people are interested in these. And there are some pretty significant rebates right now, too, for folks that are wanting one. All right, also in terms of heating and cooling, furnace filters. Maybe all of us know about them. Maybe you just changed yours out. But it was very surprising when I used to do energy audits how many people didn't realize they needed a furnace filter or that they needed to change it out pretty frequently. So I just like to remind people, take a check. I have one like the one in the middle that I change it out every quarter. Just keeps the furnace working well and prevents debris from coming through and keeps everyone in our house more healthy. So there are things we can do to make our homes more efficient, like caulking around windows, putting the plastic on the windows, using gasket seals and safety caps in our outlets that are on the exterior walls. But ultimately, if you're feeling like you need to do a lot of those things to manage draftiness, there could be a larger issue happening in the home, how it's functioning. So up until the year 2000 or so, the code wasn't high enough with building code for people to have to do things like air sealing, which helps to prevent draftiness in the house. So there are, older homes in this community that could benefit from some of these things. But if you're feeling like your house is really drafty, you feel like there's a lot of dry air, the chances are you're probably losing a lot of the heat that you're paying for going up and out through the conditioned space of your home to the unconditioned attic space. And so if it feels like that drafty, chances are there is a bigger issue at hand. So humidifiers, if you're constantly having to refill your humidifier, that's another sign. that your house could use some energy efficiency improvements. If you see a lot of ice dams in the winter, that's another indicator that that warm air is being allowed to rise up and out, melting the snow, and causing ice dams that can be a big pain for people. This is actually the same house. The picture on the left is before they did the attic air sealing and insulating, and then the one on the right is after. So as you can see, the snow no longer melted at such a rapid rate and didn't cause the ice dams after they did that work. So even if your home does have plenty of insulation, if it was not built in the past, 10 or 15 years, chances are that all of that really important air sealing was probably not done. And so if you're seeing some ice dams, that could be an indicator. So like everything that goes from the conditioned space to the unconditioned space does have the holes around it, like this big gap around the flue pipe. All of these things need to be sealed up, or that warm air that you're paying for that's nice and comfortably humidified is allowed to go out and increases our bills more than it needs to and makes our home less comfortable. So attic hatches, any flue pipes, wires that go through, any sort of entry point into the attic needs to be sealed up. And so how do you find this out? Probably most of us aren't going to go dig up in our attic and look around. You can, and actually an indicator that there is a lot of air movement is if you have darkened insulation. So if you are feeling really ambitious and you want to go up into your attic, that's one thing you can look for. But I don't think most people are going to do that. So having an energy audit is a great way to get an expert into your house to just take a look at how the home is functioning. So at a home energy audit, usually it's 1 or 2 people that do some testing like this blower door test. This measures the air tightness of the home, shows where that air leakage is happening. Also tests the ventilation ratio. That's a durability, safety issue. We want our homes to be tight so they're not using a lot of energy. But if there isn't also enough ventilation, there can be other issues. So getting just a handle on that by an expert is a great thing to do. With the Home Energy Squad program that's sponsored by Xcel Energy and CenterPoint Energy, they also offer the installation of energy-saving products with the energy audit. So the Home Energy Squad, we just want to make it easy for people to bring their home to a basic level of efficiency, to feel better that they're not wasting money on energy that they don't need to, and be comfortable. So maybe some folks have already switched out some of their light bulbs or shower heads, but when we're there for 2 or 3 hours with the Home Energy Squad, we also install things like door weather stripping to minimize the draftiness around doors. We offer water heater blankets, programmable and smart thermostats, LED bulbs, faucet aerators, and shower heads. So we want to help people start saving right away so they can really get on the right path there. And then just some more pictures. We also, when we're doing our blower door test, we'll use the infrared camera to show where there might be insulation voids behind the wall. Any home built before 1970, there's no guarantee that there's any insulation in the walls. That wasn't a changing code until that time. So even my mother-in-law's house, it was built in 1959. Simple Rambler had absolutely no insulation in the walls, which she didn't know until she had an energy audit. I was very proud of her that she promptly insulated those walls. But just things that we don't know unless, we do a major project. So it's nice to have that energy audit just so you can kind of help prioritize where your home is at. So when the Home Energy Squad comes out to people's homes, they put together a report for people to show them where their home is on a scale of efficiency. And so the report is unique to each person's house. And like I said, every house is different and very unique. If there is the recommendation for people to improve the air sealing and insulation in the house, the energy auditor can write up a quote that gives an exact price that's honored by participating installation contractors here in the metro area. If someone's home actually scores very well on a scale of 0 to 100, 96 or above, that is a pretty high score, and that home can then get a certification. There's a few hundred homes in Minnesota that have this certification. It's called the Energy Fit Home Certificate, and it's starting to be used for time of sale. People want to show that they've gone above and beyond and made some of these improvements in their houses, and usually they can get a premium price on their home for that. So lots of things to consider after people have an energy audit. So we have a team of energy experts that helps advise people on next steps, whether that's questions about contractors, rebates, financing, tax incentives. So there's a lot of things. We just want to really make it easy for people to make these improvements and make their homes more efficient. There's also statewide low interest loans that help people, whether they're looking at insulation, solar, across the board. And here in suburban Ramsey County, there's actually a really great loan that's available to people. It's 0%, deferred after 10 years if the homeowner is in their home for 10 years. And it's really great. There are income qualifications for it, but it's a really great offering, so I always like to make sure to point that out when I'm in Ramsey County. So some of the things that are coming up, current things that are happening and kind of exciting. Some cities like Minneapolis just passed, excuse me, an energy disclosure. And so when a home is sold, that's one of the things that has to be addressed. There's 4 new points in the home inspection, looking at the insulation levels, windows, efficiency of the mechanicals, to make sure, just to say where it's at, so the person buying that house knows the state of the energy use in the home. So that's something a few different cities are looking at that's kind of on the horizon. There's also things that different incentives cities are offering to help residents, like doing specialized loans for their residents. For instance, there's a city that's offering loans just for seniors to fix up their home, or people who live in manufactured homes. So different communities have different priorities, and so it's nice that their cities are taking a look at that. We also have 20 cities in the metro area that are offering free or discounted visits for residents when they are having a home energy squad visit to help their residents improve their homes. Here's just another take back to the Minneapolis energy disclosure. It's just part of the report now that's available. So that one just went into effect last month. Other offerings that cities have, like I said, different priorities for their residents. 0%. The city of Minneapolis buys down loans to 0% for their residents to make those improvements. So I think that people just wanted to hear about some of the innovative things different cities are doing. In Minneapolis, they've also decided that priority areas for people to make improvements are former industrialized areas. So other cities have different pockets that they want to look at revitalizing. So these are just some of the ideas of different incentives that are offered in the metro area. We also like to always let people know there are free home energy squad visits for income qualified residents. And since you all took a half an hour, 45 minutes out of your life today, there's discounted visits available to anyone who is tuning into the presentation. If you're interested in having a home energy evaluation, you can call us or go to this website and just mention that you saw the presentation, and you can also get a discount. So if people are interested in taking advantage of these programs, I highly encourage you to. The Home Energy Squad program is one of the best programs available, in my opinion, in the nation, because it offers both the home energy audit and the installation, so people can start saving right away. And then our energy advisors that help people with questions about next steps, because it really is a lot of information to digest. But ultimately, we just want people to save money and make their homes more comfortable. So that's all I have, and I'd be happy to take any questions if anyone has them.
Do we have any questions?
So there's also, in addition to the tank water heaters, there's the on-demand heaters. Are those more efficient?
They do use less energy. There's different considerations with those, I guess. What I would say is they're great for large families, because I went to a home, I think in Apple Valley, where they had 5 children. And so they were always running out of water. Everyone couldn't take a shower in the morning and have hot water. In that situation, that's a convenience, quality of life. The tankless water heater worked great for them, and they loved it, and they knew how it worked. They do have to be cleaned and maintained every year, just like you would have a furnace tune-up. The water heater, sediment builds up in it more easily, and so those things need to be maintained. With tank-style water heaters, I think most people are just used to putting it in, and it works for 10 to 15 years, and then they get a different one. So it's just kind of a different mindset, but yes, ultimately they do save energy, and the price point is a little bit higher, but convenience depends what people's priorities are. But if saving energy is your priority, definitely.
What about recirculating pumps for hot water? I've got a long distance between my boiler and my kitchen sink.
Yeah, I've seen people use those too, and those also save by not having to heat as much water, use as much gas or electricity as well.
But it's constantly circulating.
I think there's a couple different ways you can have it set up. Excuse me, it would have to be calling for water too, I guess. Yeah.
So on the topic of water heating, have you seen a lot of solar thermal water heating systems in our climate?
I haven't seen a lot of them. There is one by my house that looks like it's pretty old, but I guess it's still working. So yeah, I know that those are a nice option for people.
So you said 120 degrees or less. What is the energy efficiency goal? Like, what would you recommend if you wanted to go lower than that?
I've seen people set that, 105 or 110. And then there's the vacation setting too. So if you leave, try to have the good habit of turning that down too.
Do you have any other questions?
Water heating has never been so popular as tonight. Maybe it's because it's so cold out.
It's a timely topic. Okay, well, to thank Stacy for coming out on a chilly evening, we would like to show our appreciation by presenting her with a cutting board. It's from wood from the hood. It looks like it's made out of maple. So this is a program where they take down trees from the urban environment and repurpose them. So
Thank you very much.
thank you.
I've been wanting to support them. So.
Excellent. Well,
Thank you for
let's give
supporting
Stacy a
them
round of
for me.
applause. Thank you all for coming out.